What's happening today is that we are implementing what I would describe as a somewhat modest leadership change. Guy Morse, who has been our Executive Director for a long time and covered a great many areas in doing that, is stepping away from some of it. He'll continue to be responsible for all of our external relationships, to build on all of the partnerships that he has crafted over these 25 years with cities and towns and governments and other athletic organizations and charities and everybody else we deal with. And what he won't have to do is focus anymore on day-to-day management matters. And what I will do, moving over from board leadership at the B.A.A. to executive leadership, is take on the internal management responsibilities that will now free Guy from having to worry about, so he can go off and just concentrate on the stuff he does so well. I got to know the B.A.A. and the Boston Marathon pretty much like everybody else by watching it go by and saying, I wish I could do that. And it turned out that to do it, you had to go qualify. This is back in the 1970s. So I thought, fine. I was a recreational runner. I was never a runner, just did it for fitness. And I thought, well, I'll go run this. And then it turned out you had to qualify. So I said, oh, fine, I'll go qualify. Well, like a lot of people, I failed. Didn't get, in those days you had to run under 3 hours in order to qualify. And it took me 3 different marathons, I think, in order to finally achieve that. So I got under 3 hours, ran in 1976, 77, and 78. Then the qualifying standard dropped to 250, which I then had to try to get under. Managed through an act of the will to get to 249.03. Didn't make it by much, and that was the limits of my capabilities. I've been close to all of this for a long time, and now having the opportunity to get involved on a daily basis is very, very exciting. The president of the B.A.A. being akin to chairman of the board, an outside chairman in most businesses, is really a person whose job is to be the leader of the board. Guy has been the leader of the organization. Now I get to be the leader of the organization, and I get to do it with Guy Morse still here. And this whole thing is not at all about getting more of Grilk. It's about keeping more of Morse. Well, first, as to the Boston Marathon, looking forward to the next one coming up next April. This won't affect it at all, whether it's the organizing committee, the volunteers, the cities, the towns, the state, the agencies, everybody will all do what they have done before, which is not only do a great job putting the race on, but continuously look for ways to do it better. In corporate America, one hears the mantra of continuous improvement. This is a place where it lives, and the people who put that race on will continue doing that. The other events that the B.A.A. puts on will continue as they have and will continue to improve. My role on the management side will have to do with working with the board to continue to develop the strategy of the B.A.A. and then for me in particular to implement that strategy. And that strategy will call for us to do more and more to implement our basic mission, which is not, as one might think, simply to put on the Boston Marathon, though that is by far the best known event. The real mission for the B.A.A. going back to 1887 is to promote health and fitness, whether it's through the marathon or other things. And the more we can do with running events, particularly kids events, we've done a lot of that, working with charities, anything that advances the notion of health and fitness is good. And that doesn't mean that everybody who comes out and watches the Boston Marathon is then going to jump in and run it, because you can't do that. But it may be that they'll see the Boston Marathon go by, and the next day they'll go out and walk around the block. And next week, 2 blocks, and the week after that, 6 blocks, and then maybe a little jog. And anything that keeps people moving is good for health, and that's what we'd like to help foster. The Boston Marathon for people in and around Boston, and I think of greater Boston generally, the metropolitan area, and New England, because all of us in and around New England think of things in Boston as somewhat ours. For all of us, the marathon has been the touchstone for international athletics for all of us around here. If you grew up around here, as I did, for me up in Wakefield at Wakefield High, The marathon every year was the time that the international athletic community suddenly focused on Boston. And wherever you went, wherever you go, someone would talk about the Boston Marathon. You might hear about it in China or Germany or wherever you might be. And that was kind of a source of pride. There's that day when Boston is on the map. And for us at the B.A.A., for me personally, we care about that a lot. Just the race as a source of local identity and pride. Goes beyond that also, because with the size of the event these days, the number of people that come here, the number of people that come from all over the world to do it, it not only provides pride around here, it has an astonishing economic impact. The Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau pegs the impact of the Boston Marathon every year at something like $122 million as a boost to the local economy on that weekend. It's like having the Final Four here every year. So in addition to wanting to make this the best athletic event and the most enjoyable event we can for the people who come to run, we also never lose sight of the fact that it provides a big boost to the local economy. So there's some pride involved, and there is some economic benefit involved. And once again, there should just be some fun involved. We should never lose sight of that.